It is my honor and my privilege to introduce Coach Ken Manning, who will be speaking on Earn the Jersey, Confronting the Challenges Facing Today's Strength and Conditioning Coaches. Coach Manning.
Thanks, Tom. Is this thing on? Hey, buddy, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Everybody hear me? We good? Is the microphone on? Okay, good. Let me tell you about the genesis of this thing so we all understand where it came from. Several months ago, Chuck asked the board of directors to develop some concepts or some topics for this year's conference. And so, in sitting in on the certification exam for the last several years and watching all these beautiful, bright young people come through and take the certification exam, and I just kept thinking to myself, I wonder if these young people really know what they're going into. And I thought it might be a good idea, and so I wrote down some suggestions for Chuck on maybe how to approach this thing and maybe some things that, I thought, at least from my perspective, should be covered. And so Chuck, being who he is, wrote back, "Sounds good, Ken, why don't you do it?" So that was kind of the genesis of it, and I was very happy and proud and honored to be asked to do it. All right. Real big on championship thoughts, people, so I wrote a few down here. And even though this is really geared to the young people. When I say young people, I don't mean just the ones that are coming out and just recently this week took their certification exam. In my estimation, you're a young person in the profession if you've been in it for less than 10 years. And I know there's a lot of people in this room that have been in it for a lot longer than that. And I just want to tell you that I salute all of you. I admire you. You are in a great profession. Hopefully by the time you leave here, and if you don't already feel great about the profession we're in, I hope that you do when you leave. And I'm sure that you do because I know the kind of people that you are. Because I know the special breed of person that it takes to do this kind of work. And who you are in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, believe me, I understand it, and I do commend you. But please listen to a few things here because we do this with our kids all the time, and I wrote down something that I think applies to all of you in this room. Number one, set your sights high. That especially applies to the young people. How many young people in this room took the certification exam this week? Will you please raise your hand if you're in the room, okay? I see quite a few out there. You need to set your sights high. Don't you dare go anywhere less than as high as you can reach. And you keep on reaching for as long as you can. This is a full, all-out sprint that has no finish line. Again, this profession is an all-out sprint that has no finish line. And now you're going to be carrying the torch. Those people that just raised your hands, all right? And there's going to come times when you're going to stumble, you're going to fall, you're going to drop the torch. Sometimes the torch is going to go out. You get up, get the cinder out of your knees, get back on your feet, relight the torch, and start sprinting again. And it's going to happen more than once. That will happen more than once. It will happen a lot. It will happen a lot. I'm going to talk about winning the war of attrition as we go on with this thing. You can always take a small step each and every single day towards your dream. And I know that you all have dreams in here because I tell you what, you would not be in this profession if you didn't have dreams, okay? One small step every day. One small step every day. What's a dream? What's a goal? We talk about goals a lot, right? Goals. What are your goals? We talk to our kids all the time. What are your goals? Goals are dreams. Goals are dreams that have what? A deadline. That's what they are. They're dreams that we put a deadline on, right? Now, not all of your dreams necessarily have to have a deadline on them, but you constantly are reaching for them. You alone get to choose what matters and what doesn't matter. You alone get to choose what matters and what doesn't matter. Nobody controls your choices. Nobody. All right? And I know sometimes we have people above us on the flow chart that sometimes send down things to us because of their position of authority that we don't like, that we don't agree with, okay? But bottom line is we can make our own choices on certain things, and we need to do that. And sometimes you need to stand up and fight for what you believe in. No matter how much you know, there's a whole lot you don't know. And the older that I get, the more that I realize that. okay? As much as you may know, I promise you, there's a whole lot that you don't know. And this next part's very, very important. Your willingness to acknowledge that can change everything for you. If you will just acknowledge the fact that you don't know everything, that alone can change everything for you. That sets you apart. The moment that I get in the presence of someone who thinks they're an expert or who knows it all, I turn and I probably run about a 7 flat 40 right now, okay? Maybe it might take me a little longer than that, okay? I will run a 5 flat away from that person because I know that I'm not going to learn anything from that person other than arrogance. Nobody knows it all. Each and every one of you, I don't care how long you've been in this profession, you try to learn at least one new thing every single day. Did you pick up some great information here over this past week? I know I did, and we're not finished yet. The right thing and the easy thing. Listen, young people, the right thing and the easy thing are rarely the same thing. The right thing and the easy thing are rarely the same thing. You want to do something right, it's going to take some hard work. Earn the jersey, okay? Young people, your future will not just happen, it will be created, and you will create it. So all you young people getting out in here, and even those that have been in for a while, all right, remember, we're running that race. We're all running a race that has no finish line, okay? You are creating your own future. And what I tell our players all the time, one very, very important standard for us is the fact that in running that race, okay, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, okay, in terms of what's in your heart. I can't see your heart. I cannot see your heart, all right, just by looking at you, all right? But I can tell by your actions what's inside of that thing. I can tell by your actions on a daily basis. And you are writing your resume. Don't think you're writing your resume that day that you're about 2 months away from graduation, all right, and you sit down and start hitting the keyboard. You're writing your resume every day, every single day. You're putting another line on your resume. And I don't think any of us should ever forget that. I'll be 64 years old in a couple months, and I'm still writing my resume. Still writing it. And as I get, towards the twilight, so to speak, of my career, I will tell you this, when I'm off the floor and I'm off the field, I will still contribute to this profession. Somehow, some way. I will still contribute to this profession. And here's what might happen. I might be in the box, and right before they put me down, I might pop out and go, wait a minute, I forgot one thing. Does anybody have a pencil and a pad I can write it down on? Because that's how passionate I am about this profession. It's a little bit late in the afternoon, I know. So those are just a few championship thoughts. Let's look at this right now. Let's wake up a little bit. There's nothing like his profession, is there? I mean, we get to do this year-round, every year, 24/7 with our kids, with young people, and it is truly a great, great profession. And I know how much all of you love it, and I've certainly loved it for all the, going on 32 years that I've been doing this at this level, and really 42 years now, because my first 10 years were as a high school coach. And I would never trade any of those years for anything. And I kind of, the way I came up was, I'm sure, it was a lot different than the way young people have to come out now. I'm not sure if you can do 10 years at the high school level anymore. We're talking back in the mid-70s now. And then, make a rise into the collegiate profession. This is my staff here, as you're looking at them right now. And to say that they do all the heavy lifting in our program is kind of an understatement. And I'm just going to say this right out front, because I say this for one reason only, to exemplify the work that these guys do. We're at the bottom, very bottom, low one-third in our league in the Big Ten in full-time staff. I believe we're tied, actually, for last, or next to last, in terms of full-time staff. Now, why do I even say that, okay? I say that to highlight these people and the job that they do on a day-in, day-out basis with our athletes. As you're looking at them there, the row kneeling there from left to right, Andy, Dom, these are interns and GAs with us. And as I call your name, please stand up for a second or so. Andy's also an Army Ranger. Thank you for your service, Andy. Danny Felino is next. Danny's a former Spartan football player. And both Andy and Danny are here this weekend getting certified. Sarah Crosby, not with us this weekend. She's a GA. She'll be here next year getting certified. She's in the Olympic sports. Tremaine Johnson, stand up, Tremaine, also in the certification process. Dustin Curran, not with us, but he's back next year for his second year with us as a GA. Right now, he's serving an internship with the New York Jets. We let him go. It's a great opportunity for him, so he'll be gone all summer. Will return with us in the fall, but we could not let him pass up that opportunity. Now, you see the guy in the far up left? Okay, he was not there for the staff picture, newest member of our staff. He happened to be in Italy when our staff picture was taken with the basketball team. Todd Morey, please stand up. Is Todd here? Maybe he's not here. Okay, I'll talk to him about that later. But there he is in Italy. That's a selfie or something taken in Italy. He probably has a glass of wine in one hand and a meatball sandwich in the other. Over in Olympic sports, we got Molly Munn standing there. Most of these people standing up here are double year full-time assistants with us. These people have been with us and loyal to us for so many years. Molly Munns, Tim Red Wakeham, Director of Olympic Sports, Tommy Hoke, Associate Head Coach. Then you got that, ugly Italian guy in the middle. And then next to him is Mike Vorkapich, Associate Head Coach, working in football as well. Lorenzo Guess, former Spartan football and basketball player. And my son-in-law, Billy Burkhart, who, along with my daughter, they just blessed us and blessed really everybody that we know in our family with a beautiful granddaughter, Annabelle, 10 months old there. And thank you, Bill, for that more than anything, okay? Really appreciate that. Okay, where are we at now? Let's go. We are very proud of our coaching tree. There's nothing that brings me more pride in terms of what we've been able to do at Michigan State than the people that we've put out in the profession. And I think we forgot one, and Bill added it, Justin Markley, we forgot about him. But anyway, you can see the places where we've placed individuals, meaning this. They've come through our program as either an intern, a graduate assistant, or a full-time assistant. And once again, we take great pride in that. Academic requirements. Now, here's something. These are just, what you have to understand about what follows here, and really the rest of the presentation is this, okay? I'm not saying that we have all these things nailed down. We're still working on a lot of them, too. We're still working on them a lot as a program. I just mentioned our staffing, right? We're still working on that. I mean, I've been working on that for 22 years now, trying to get that to where it needs to be, along with the administration and so forth. Individually, myself, I'm not saying that I've nailed down all these things that I'm suggesting to you, and these are just personal suggestions and perspectives. I'm not saying this is a panacea, an end-all, be-all, an epiphany, none of that, okay? These are just my perspectives on the years that I've been doing this. And I'm going to get to, because I get asked all the time, how in the world have you been at one place for 22 years? How does that even happen in this day and age? All right, so I'm going to answer it tonight. Not right now, a little bit later though, okay? You got to get a master's degree, okay? Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that are going through the profession and have gone quite far in the profession with a bachelor's degree, and that's all well and good. I would highly recommend to the young people, though, that if you have not yet attained a master's degree in some exercise science-related area, I would strongly suggest that you do. I know in our case, it's master's preferred. When we put a job posting out there, master's preferred. Obviously, we're going to look at an individual, but see, you have to put yourself in an administration perspective, an athletic director's eyes. They want to fill their staff. All right, they want to bring personnel in that have the highest educational credentials possible. So they're going to go through the people you're bringing in for interviews and going to, wait a minute, I know that we said, minimum bachelor's, master's required, but you want to bring in this individual and he or she's only got a bachelor's degree. Well, it's, bachelor, no, well, wait a minute, I understand that. But let's talk to the people that have master's degrees first. That will come from, you'll get pressured now from administration on that. All right? And that's not the only reason. All right? The reason is obviously you have to have more scientific acumen, more educational, be held to the fires of academia. That will say so much more for you. Okay? Again, a suggestion. These are some things that obviously, and this is a short list, okay? And a lot of these have offshoots, obviously. Human anatomy, structure, and function. May I suggest a great, easily to understand, and just the way it's illustrated just pops out at you. There's a series of books and DVDs by a gentleman by the name of Andrew Beal, B-I-E-L, and it's called Trail Guide to the Body. Has anybody ever seen the Trail Guide to the Body series? Okay, I see some hands out there. I strongly suggest you just go on Amazon, and you'll find this whole series. And I'm going to tell you what, when you receive the books, the DVDs, and also the flashcards, good old-fashioned flashcards, you'll be glad you did it. It's really outstanding work. And I would obviously share it with your staff and get everybody involved in that, because it's a great way, especially for the young people coming up, to really learn structure and function and in easily understandable terms. Sports physiology principles to practice. It's not just sports physiology. The principles to practice is the key component there, right? Making sure that everybody understands, okay, now we have a good foundation of sports physiology, but now how do I apply that to what we're doing, what our job is? So the application part is the most important thing. And I was very fortunate in attending Ohio State for my master's degree. And, Dr. Bartell, Robert Bartell for number one, and Donald K. Matthews were there at the time. Dr. Fox had just passed away unexpectedly before I arrived, but I had two great teachers in this area, and really renowned professors. Biomechanics of athletic movement, obviously a mainstay. All right, I don't know if you've never had any coursework in biomechanics. It's very difficult to understand. Really, a lot of things you hear at these conferences and clinics and how they work. Essentials of musculoskeletal care. Now we're getting into something here where you might say, well, gee, isn't that more like PT or athletic training related? Yes, it is, but we have to deal with it. I heard Jeff talk about, that marriage between, Jeff Allen from Alabama, about the marriage you have to have with the athletic training staff. No question. You have to understand what they're doing and the challenges they face, and then how it relates to what you're doing. There's got to be some kind of cohesiveness there. And there's some friction I've seen in some, because I talk to you, people call me and you say, what's your relationship with your athletic training staff? Well, I have assigned 2 of our guys to be liaisons, number 1, all right? So they're in constant communication with the athletic training staff. And I realize that everybody wants to stay in their lane, right? And everybody's a little bit territorial. Well, don't you come nudging over into my lane too much here now. But you got to communicate. Yeah, and there shouldn't be that friction to where, it's almost like, you guys are having some kind of competition against each other. You need to work together. And the programs I've seen where there's not cohesiveness between athletic training and strength and conditioning, it's a recipe for disaster. I'm just telling you. So make sure you're doing everything you can. Now, one party or the other might give you pushback on it, all right? But it's our job to make sure that we're doing everything we can to bring that marriage a little bit closer together. Now, I would like to recommend a book here, too. Letha Griffin. Letha, L-E-T-H-A, Griffin, G-R-I-F-F-I-N, has an excellent text out in this specific area of musculoskeletal care. And really, it's a lot of, it's not only approaching injuries, but also in terms of rejuvenation, recuperation, recovery, a lot of things that we have to deal with. Research methodologies, tests, and measurements. You've got to look at the research. There's more research out now than ever before, and I'll tell you what, it's just been a burgeoning area. When I first got into the full-time strength and conditioning field back in the mid-'80s, okay, I mean, there were bits and pieces thrown out here and there. I mean, you had a tough time going to the library. I mean, this is pre-internet now, what we're talking about here. I mean, you actually had to go to the library. There's a building on every campus called the library, and you actually had to go there to find this. And really, there was stuff out there, but even what was out there, a lot of that stuff was 10, 15 years old. And now, there's something coming out every single day. And you have to be able to read it and understand that if someone's going to make an extraordinary claim, they better have extraordinary evidence. And you want to read it and find out that it's backed up, okay? The claimant's got to provide the burden of proof. We know that. That's a scientific method, all right? So you have to, and there's a lot of it out there. We have to be able to read it and discern, well, is this legit? Is what I'm reading legit? And courses along this line, the test and measurements part, but also research methodologies, so you can understand how research is set up and what they're looking for and how they look for it. Motor learning, concepts and applications. How many of you have taken a course in motor learning, either undergrad or graduate? Okay, there's quite a few hands. Every hand in the room, in my estimation, should have went up. Because if we are, in our profession, the terms sport-specific, position-specific, skill-specific are used. The couple days that I've been at this conference, I've seen those terms have been thrown up on the screen numerous times. And not to say that they're not applicable, and not to say that they're not used correctly. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to use those terms, you need to go to this source, and that is the source. We're talking about motor learning here. The neurological pathways, the motor engrams that are set down in our motor cortex, so we can perform the skills that we perform. And if we're going to say something is specific, then we better know what we're talking about. That's basically what I'm saying there. I'm not going to belabor the point, but please know, because if you ever speak in front of someone who is a researcher in motor learning, they will take you to task if you misuse those terms. And I've seen that happen before too. Sports psychology, we had Jack Singer here. Did anybody listen to Jack this morning? Dr. Jack Singer, excellent. And I've been in contact with him ever since I saw he was on the docket. And he sent me all of his tapes, DVDs, showing my age there, and books, and there's some really, really great stuff there. And that's part of it now, okay? When we talk about sports science, and I do believe that, and I'll probably be long gone when this comes, but in some, it's present now. I know at some of your universities and colleges and institutions that you work in, you're going to have sports science, you're going to have athletic training, and you're going to have strength and conditioning. Probably 3 interdependent units, though. They work as one within their own, in terms of independent, but they're interdependent in terms of sharing information. And I know that's in place. I know Alabama, for one. Jeff just spoke to that. I know Oregon's another, University of Oregon, Nebraska, right? And there are more. But what I'm saying is, I truly believe eventually all of us are going to have to go there. Whether we want to or not, we're going to have to go there. And obviously alcohol and drug education, because that is ongoing, and especially now. Do you realize, and I'm sure you've heard, the epidemic we have with painkillers now? We have an epidemic, and not just in the sports arena. There is an epidemic of abuse of painkillers. And we need to get a handle on that. And some kids now, both athletes and non-athletes, are going from painkillers to what? Heroin. All right? And it is a national epidemic. And we need to be well-versed on this. And these are some electives that I would suggest. Clinical sports, I will recommend another book for you. Peter Bruckner, B-R-U-C-K-N-E-R. Peter Bruckner has an excellent text out on clinical sports medicine. And there you go again, Coach. You're throwing stuff at us that is basically meant for the athletic training field and or physical therapy. Basically, yes, I am. But I'm telling you what, I've picked up more great information and knowledge from that book in terms of dealing with these things and really understanding the mechanisms of injury. And I think that going back to the musculoskeletal care and also the clinical sports medicine, understanding injury mechanisms has made me a much better coach in my estimation. And I feel it's very valuable information for everybody. Sports and law litigation, all right? You better know what you're liable for. This is a litigious society. I'm not going to mention the name of the university, but I just saw it because I get the athletic business, digital online deal there, what do you call them? I'm so social media incompetent, it's not even funny. But I get the athletic business deal, and over $700,000 is going to be paid out to the family of a young man, football player, because of the concussion issue. Over $700,000, okay? We need to know what's going on here. And that just popped up because I just saw it today. You saw some of our kids training their neck there, right, in that video. I would strongly urge, because there's more and more, we'll talk about the research again, there's more and more research coming out, and I won't belabor it, but strengthening the neck, all right, in terms of, and there's several avenues we have to address in terms of concussion prevention or reducing the incidence of, all right, and you said, well, stop hitting people with your head, and maybe you can stop concussions. And it's not always, hitting with the head, and there's more coming out on not only concussive forces, the actual concussion taking place, but the conundrum of subconcussive forces over time and the cumulative effects of subconcussive forces, okay? There's research out that's strengthening what? The cylinder that lies just below the skull, okay? Is so very, very important in possibly reducing a concussion is a concussion, but the incidence of this type of injury. So it's worth reading, and I tell you what, even if it's only half true, it's worth exploring. And not to mention, obviously, cervical injuries, which we know it has a positive impact on if technique is correct. Okay? Athletic administration, I don't even want to see that up there. Who do you work with? Who do you basically work for? Athletic administrators. Don't you think it might be a good idea to understand how they think, what they do, what their problems are, what their challenges are, what they deal with every day? Okay? I think we should know that. that helps, and I'm going to get a little bit more into this a little bit later in terms of working with, and when I talk about negotiating, it is my sincerest hope and wish for all of you that one day you can sit down in front of your administrators and negotiate your contract. Not have them just throw it out, here it is, take it or leave it, man. I mean, I want to see our profession get to the point where, I mean, hey, we are professionals, and in my estimation, we are some of the most important professionals on the campus. I really, truly believe that. We are in positions of leadership, and we need to express that and conduct ourselves as such. And when it comes time to renew the contracts, let's talk about that. We need to talk about that. Don't just throw a one-year contract in my face and say, hey, take it or leave it, man. It's not fair. It's not what we're about. You denigrate our profession when you do that. I'm going to address that way. I'm getting all fired up about that right now. And obviously, computer and peripheral technology. Okay, sports science is here, man. It's here. It's a good thing. You know how many times I've heard Catapult and Zephyr and Zebra mentioned? I mean, just everybody. I feel like we're the only ones in the world that doesn't have it yet. Okay, maybe we are. But we're getting there. And brought Mike Vorkapich over from basketball into football, gave him the title of Director of Sports Science. So I expect him to find out everything he can about it and then get back to me and explain it to me, okay? And see what we can do. And of course, the monetary issues are very, very, problematic sometimes. Education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. That's why you need to always be learning. Okay, so we'll move on from this, but those are some things I think we all need to be fairly proficient in. All right, practical applications. We all know that here's what we get our paycheck for, right? We got to develop strength, power, speed, agility, flexibility, mobility. That's what we get our monthly or bi whatever it is, whenever you get paid, that's what you're getting your money for. And we live in this is a result-oriented world. If we're not doing that, and I don't care what your methodologies are, don't really care. If they're working and you believe in them, you have scientific, evidence-based rationale, go for it, man, and get it done. Get it done, okay? Because the lifeblood of this profession depends upon you getting it done. Your job depends on getting it done. Obviously, sports-appropriate energy systems. And I've kind of gone to this term now because I'm a little bit now, especially in this day and age now, injury prevention. Well, doesn't that mean that nobody's getting injured? Is anybody getting injured? People are getting injured, right? No matter what we do. No matter what. Let's bring Jeff Allen back here, talk to him. Is anybody getting hurt down there? Of course, when we played them, it looked like everybody's pretty healthy to me when they lined up against us. But people are getting injured. So we're not really, I don't know, and I know it's a great term, and we all want to believe that. I've kind of leaned more towards injury resilience. I think that's more of what we're doing. We're making our athletes a little more resilient to injury, okay? But we can't say that nobody's getting injured because people do get injured. All right, so, having a proficiency in that. Obviously, rehab, post-injury surgical strategies, post-surgery strategies, recovery, rejuvenation, all these things. We got to be on the ball. This is who we are and what we are, right? However, I'll leave that up there just for a second. We are also this. And this is a short list of who we are and what we do. So just listen to this. And if you want to add on to this, just throw something out there, because I'd be glad to hear it. All right? We're a coach. We're teachers. We are mentors. We are administrators. We have administrative duties. That's why I recommend you take a course in athletic administration, because some of those duties fall upon you. We are managers. You're a business manager, and you're a financial manager. Do you have a budget? Right? I don't have much of a budget, but somebody's got to manage what we got, and some of you guys have really nice, big, fat budgets, and you got to manage those budgets, right? We're recruiters, and in this, are we recruiters? Now, we don't go off campus and recruit. I had to FaceTime 3 people since I've been down here, just because I'm not back on the home base. Hey, Ken, we got a top-notch guy coming in here. He's a 18 guy and blah. Can you FaceTime him? Which I guess is okay now, right? So then I had to figure out, how in the hell do you FaceTime people? I don't know. So I'm running around asking people, first of all, what is FaceTime and how do you do it? All right? So we're with all the, junior days, during spring ball, I sat down in my office just about every single day with at least 3 recruits and their families. So we're recruiters. And I'll tell you what, you better believe if your coaches have respect for you, they are saying, when's John meeting with them? When's Frank meeting with them? Hey, I noticed that we don't have our strength coach. We have the itinerary here. You don't get our. He's got to sit down with our strength coach. He or she's got to sit down with their strength coach. You're damn right they do. They want you to interact with the recruits. They demand that you do. Okay? And take that as a compliment to you if your coach gets upset because you're not around to meet with them. That's a compliment. We are ambassadors for our university. Not just the sport you're in, not just the athletic department. We are really some of the best ambassadors for our university that are on the university campus. Don't you ever forget that, ever. And some people may not want to admit it. All right, I'm talking about the flow chart again, those people that are in all the boxes above you, all right? But the really sharp people in your building and in that athletic department and on that campus know you are. They know you are. Are we motivators or what? We are saying, don't fool yourself, okay? And let's really step up. We're some of the best motivators going. We are some of the best motivators going. Who do your coaches call on when they want somebody to get the guys, get them inspired a little bit? I know they call on you to do that. I know they do. Why? Because you have great motivational skills. Use them. Don't ever lose them. And don't ever think that you don't have them, because you do. And we're disciplined. We have to be authority figures and disciplinarians. Authority figures and disciplinarians too. So we're all that. So all that tells me this is one hell of a profession. Okay? And as I went through this, okay, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I don't know if Chuck and Becky are in the room or not. Are they here? Okay, they're probably off doing other duties. Each and every one of you should get in the mail next week a handwritten thank you note to Chuck and Becky for being the tip of the spear. Literally, I think they're the whole spear, actually, in this profession and doing what they do for you guys, okay? I was at the first CSCCA deal, and I'm going to tell you what, you could have put everybody that attended that thing like over in that section over there. That was it. That was the whole attendance. And I hear that this week we have over 1,300 coaches here, 1,300. You see what, and that all goes back to Chuck and Becky and all the people that work with and for them, and they have made this truly a profession, okay? And I'm going to just get off topic a little bit there. If anybody ever comes up to you, and I know they don't do this in your building, or people that know you know who you are, and say, oh yeah, aren't you the weight coach? You're the weight coach, right? No, my name's Ken Manny, and I'm the head strength and conditioning coach at Michigan State University. And who are you, sir? Don't let anybody talk down or play you down, okay? You are true professionals. If you got this certification, that's a stamp of approval. You got validity and credibility behind it, okay? Wear it with pride. Okay, young people, you got to get those internships. You got to get those graduates. You got to come up through the system. You got to pay your dues, okay? Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be the towel boy all the time or the towel girl. I mean, you're going to have to do that kind of stuff, all right? And you come asking me for an internship, the first thing I'm going to do is, you come, maybe we set up a meeting, you come talk to me, okay, I'll see you tomorrow morning at 4:30, okay? We'll talk more then. And I just want to see if you show up. And then when you show up, I might do this to you. Oh, yeah, I appreciate you coming, but something else come up. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 4:30. I want to see how much you want it. You better be tasting it, okay? There better be blood in your teeth with a desire to be a strength and conditioning coach, okay? Otherwise, I really do not want to talk to you. And then we'll take it from there. So that's the first part, in my estimation, of earning that jersey. And then maybe if you're lucky, you'll work your way up to a graduate assistantship. Your feet will be held to the fire there. I promise you that. We just told you we sent Dustin on a professional internship. God bless him, but he's coming back. All right, now, some do's and don'ts for those of you out there, and I would suggest the older, and I'm sure that you hear this from those that are oversee you in terms of your particular situations. And I like what Mike Vorkapich says about networking. No, networking's fine. Networking is, well, you go out and you meet people, right? You go out and meet, isn't that networking? Okay, how about build some relationships? That's a whole lot different than networking, isn't it? Building a relationship is just not meeting the person. Building a relationship is getting to know the person. So we might want to change that from go out and network to this. Go out and build some relationships, okay? Get to know the people. So a mere handshake, and oh, by the way, if anything, you know how many business cards I have in my back pocket? My butt's not really this big. It's flattened out as I've gotten older, okay? But I got about 40 business cards from young people looking for GAs, internships, etc. Okay? It's more than just, hi, I'm so-and-so. If anything comes up, please keep me in mind. That's all well and good, but you got to start developing relationships over time. Now, they may ask you to come back tomorrow morning at 4:30, though. Send handwritten thank you. Never underestimate, I said this a couple years ago, never underestimate the power and impact of the handwritten note. And I'm an old school guy, and I know instant this and that and all that. Never underestimate the power and impact of the handwritten note. Schedule visits. It could be professional teams too, nearby universities. Please proofread all your correspondence. You know how many times I get this, either by email or even sometimes on hard copy, in the heading, Ken Manny, head strength and conditioning coach, University of Michigan, with the address. I mean, come on now, can you proofread your material, please? I don't work at the University of Michigan, okay? And now I will kindly read the rest of it, and then I'll send that individual back a nice note indicating that that never should have went out. Include relevant references. The fact that you worked at Joe's Car Wash is not a relevant reference one summer for the strength and conditioning field, okay? And I've seen those from interns. And I know it's tough to build up a solid, resume, but something, tell me about a coach. Give me a coach, a teacher, a guidance counselor, someone that, that's been with you and worked with you in either an educational format, a sport format, something. And please don't do this. Don't send mass emails. And I know that everybody's on the go, and this is the one thing that I don't like about all the, devices. It's so easy to do this. You just put a blanket list out there, and don't ever send me a to whom it may concern, because I will answer it. Most people will throw it away or delete it. I will answer it, okay? And I'm going to take you to task on that. I'm talking to the young people out there, okay? I will take you to task. Don't ever send, and I tell you what, it's disrespectful to the individual you're sending it to. Personalize all of your correspondence. Don't make unannounced visits. People, we're very busy, all right? Don't just pop in on people. Don't assume that you're on a first-name basis. It's either Mr. or Coach until you start developing that relationship. And don't inundate people with phone calls, all right? You can't do that. I mean, there's going to be correspondence, and do it the right way, the proper way, and don't become bothersome. Certification requirements. Now, education plus certification plus experience, continuing education, and you can be Tommy Hoke, okay? You can be Tommy Hoke on our staff, a great associate strength coach, associate head coach with us, and we put him up there because he has the best smile. But that's what we're all working for. That's what we're all working for, okay? And it all goes back to this again, and going back to what Becky and Chuck and the board directors before and everyone that's really, done all of the really groundwork on this. And it really started out with just a little hole in the ground, and they gradually put the footer in and then start laying bricks on it. And now, I tell you what, it's pretty much a monument. It's a monument to them and the hard work that they did. And obviously, we all feel this is the gold standard. Accredited. Let me say that one more time. Accredited. How about one more time? Accredited certification. There's lots of certifications out there. Lots of them, okay? There are not a lot out there that have high standards. High standards that have taken people to put people through the austerity of academia, all right? Have put them through the fires of a difficult written exam, have put them in front of people and made them physically explain and coach technique. There are not too many out there like that. Okay, as a matter of fact, isn't this the only one in our profession? I think so. Recognized, respected, comprehensive, progressive. You must continue to gain expertise, but avoid acting like an expert. I think that stay humble and hungry. Never come across like, and I've addressed that. Don't come across like you know it all, because you don't. Nobody here does. Institutional requirements. Okay, now, do all of you have a policies and procedures handbook? Now, this is more for the older members here, more in positions of, authority, head strength and conditioning coaches. Okay, let me just tell you and this is a short list here, but things that should be in your policies and procedures handbook. First of all, each and every member of your strength and conditioning staff, whether they are an intern, a graduate assistant, a full-time assistant with various titles. You might have some associate heads and assistant head coaches, that type of thing. And with all those different headings come what? Different responsibilities. Make sure you have every single category, their duties, their obligations, everything that you want them to do. Again, and I'm going to tell you what, it's so very, very important, not just from a strategical standpoint, but also, believe it or not, from a liability standpoint, okay? You don't ever want someone to come up to you and go, well, Coach, that's not in my job description. And you say, well, I don't really care if it's in your job description. That's what I want you to do. Well, if that's what you want them to do, make sure, just for your sake and theirs, that it's in the job description, okay? Now, that's coming from a sports litigator that I talked to, all right? And maybe, you know that already, but if you don't, you need to know that, okay? So make sure everybody's accounted for and everybody's responsibilities are clearly stated. All of your health and safety issues, everything. What's required from spotting to how equipment is used, everything that's important to you in terms of health and safety. The certifications you expect your people to have, and why. Obviously, we all got to have CPR, first aid, ADD, that, and also, okay, now when we put a job posting out, we have to be cautious with this, again, from a liability standpoint, but we will post, in terms of certification, must be certified with an certified from an accredited organization, all right? And we put the last tagline on there, CSCCA preferred. Now, we can't make it mandatory, but we can put this, and we did some research on this, we can say preferred, and we prefer it. We prefer this certification. And if you, in fact, prefer this certification, I would check with your people in HR and talk to them about that and see if you can put that down as well. And also, in terms of your program overview, not that you have to have sets and reps and all that stuff down there and specific exercises, but the design, organization, administration, and implementation principles that you use in your program. should be clearly stated and formatted in your handbook. That'll save you a lot of trouble down the road, okay? Just some suggestions there. So you have the overall university policies and procedures, which you can't. Now, the reason I have these up here is because you can't go against the grain there. You got to know what's in your overall policies and procedures, the university one, and then your athletic department subset, and then certainly in the strength and conditioning subset from there. So there's not contradiction in all those policy and procedures handbooks. Okay, here it comes. It's right here, isn't it? What are you going to get, and what are you going to, what can you actually afford to get? Why do you want it? What's out there? And, a lot of great vendors here that I've been looking at. The modalities are ever evolving. The metrics compiled. What are you going to do with them? I guess what someone, when we start getting more and more in depth into this at Michigan State, what value do I get from these metrics? Now, we talked with a gentleman last night that used to be a GA with us. He now works for Exos, and Exos is kind of partnered now with Catapult, and he's telling me how that partnership is going. And there's performance-related things they can do with it now. Not just in terms of, measuring frequency, duration, power output, et cetera, all the load, all that, okay, but also, schematics, okay? Can this guy get to there? How long is it going to take this guy to get to there, okay? And actually, when he's on the field, so you can actually draw strategies up from that. They're working with that with Catapult now. It's some stuff that's like, it's almost like artificial intelligence to me. It's some crazy stuff. It's good stuff. It's great stuff. But what can you get? What do you need? What can you afford? This is off topic a little bit. We got researchers at Michigan State working on this. You get in your car, you put one hand on the steering wheel. As soon as you do that, it's reading your fingerprints. If it isn't you, you can't start the car. We're going to, now we also have cars that obviously can pretty much drive themselves. But what I'm saying is, we're getting a lot of this stuff coming into what we do. And I want to pray and hope it's all for the good, and there's certainly a lot of good things going with it. Data assessment, what benefits are you going to accrue from them? What impact is it going to have on your program, including financial? And I know if you're in our boat, that's a major consideration. And then you have to decipher between, do we need it or do we just want it? Do we want it because they have it, or do we really need it? And why? That's what our administrators come back to me with all the time. Well, Ken, do you want it, or do we really need it? Which is it? And I said, well, it's both. I'm diplomatic. It's a new frontier in our profession. No question about that. It's and for us, it's kind of uncharted waters, but here's what I see it as: education and a concomitant expertise are rapidly becoming requirements, and in this area especially. So, why did I go through all that? Young people, get well-versed in sports science. I'm over the hill. I'm never going to be well-versed in it. I'm just going to try to accumulate as much knowledge as I can at this stage of my career and let my young people, my very intelligent young people, work with it and tell me what we can get out of it. For those of you that are in that beginning stage of your career, you're embarking on the journey, get as well-versed in all the sports science methodologies and modalities as you possibly can. It will serve you well down the road in what? Getting your career going, man, okay? Because that's going to, you're going to, in job postings, and you're already seeing it, okay? Expertise or proficiency in sports science modality preferred. Sports science modalities preferred, okay? So, hey, I'm right here. I got that. You want to be that guy or that gal that can raise their hand with that. You can have data without information, but you cannot have information without data. So it's all about data. What are we going to do with it? Okay, how are you going to separate yourself in this field? And that you see, in the ones that are the head coaches and the ones that review resumes and bring in interviews all the time, okay, what are you always looking for? Okay, what separates this guy? What separates this gal? I need something special. When we opened up the men's basketball position, we had tons of resumes from people, some NBA guys. we're applying, because they want to work with Tom Izzo, okay? NBA guys want to work with Tom Izzo, all right? So we had a wealth of resumes, all right? Now what we got to do is now, what are the, we're looking for separation qualities. It's a term I use all the time. I need some separation qualities. So when I'm calling for references on you, all right, I'm just speaking my perspective now, okay? One of the questions I will ask, well, let's say it's an individual I'm talking to that's been in the field for 30 years. What separates, you've been in the field for a long time. What separates this person from all the others you've worked with and had on staff or came into contact with? Give me some separation qualities. I'd really like to know. And hopefully they got some good, remember, you're writing your resume every single day. In every word you say, every act, everything. You're putting it down. It is not literally in concrete on that resume, all right? But that's going to, more things will be brought up about you as a person than anything you can ever be put on paper. Understand that. That stuff you put on paper, you wrote that. I don't think anybody has ever written a resume and one of the lines says, I can be a knucklehead sometimes. Do you? Right? But you might talk to somebody that says, that guy sometimes is a knucklehead from what he's seen you do. Be very, very careful. These are separation qualities as far as I'm concerned. So young people especially, and maybe, some of those of you more experienced, you might find something, get some value out of this. Are you a performance leader? And we use this with our players. And I got this from Jeff Jansen, by the way, who does a lot of leadership, and he's written several books on leadership, runs a leadership kind of institute, really. And it's constantly, he's written a lot of books, a lot of articles, and I've talked to him on several occasions. And he classifies leadership two ways. There's performance leaders, and there's culture leaders. Like for the kids on your team, the performance leaders are the ones that get everybody going in the weight room, in the training environment, in your off-season program. They're the bell cows, man. They're the lead dogs. Vocally, I mean, they're the guys, man. I wish everybody could just be like him or her when they go through these workouts, because they bring it, and they bring everybody with them, okay? However, off the field, that very same person might be a knucklehead, right? So that person is not what you would call a culture leader. Culture leader refers to all the, and really in this day and age, isn't this very, very important and apropos as far as what we're trying to do? How about off the field? Well, parties a lot, does this, does that. Not a real reliable guy in terms of all that. You're not separating yourself then. You don't have that separation quality. What you're looking for in your athletes and in the people you work with are performance leaders and culture leaders. You got to bring both to the table, okay? We're looking for, self-discipline, compassion, discipline with compassion. Our head coach, Mark D'Antonio, is no better example of that. Discipline with compassion. You're going to get a second chance. Don't make the same mistake again. We only have so many lifelines. I can't keep throwing lifelines out to you, okay? So be aware of that. Integrity. Remember integrity? I said this a couple years ago when I spoke on a complete different topic. If you have integrity, nothing else matters. If you don't have integrity, nothing else matters. All right, so, I tell you a lot of times in my questioning, in separation qualities and other things, how about integrity? Tell me about integrity. Who is this person? I want to know who this person is. Perseverance, enthusiasm, courage. They're just words, right? Okay, I want examples of each. Tell me something in his life, maybe a personal issue in his life where he or she showed great perseverance. Enthusiasm, daily, not occasional, okay? Not every once in a while, not when you feel like it, not when you're having a good day. Every single day, you bring enthusiasm, courage, dedication to the tasks at hand, toughness. I'm going to talk a little bit more about these things, and loyalty. And what is, here's a great definition of toughness, by our sports psychologist, Lonnie Rosen, who actually works with a lot of teams around the country. I thought it was a great definition of toughness. Toughness is the application of focus, no matter the circumstances of what is going on around you. No matter what. No matter what the circumstances are, you always show great toughness. You're always in the fight. Always. Nothing can deter you. Administrative skills, and I talked about this as well earlier. Okay, why? Because in your administrative skills, we need to be great communicators. We need to be negotiators. You got to negotiate for that new. You want to put in a budget for $180,000 worth of brand new equipment, or you want to get those new sports science modalities that are. You want to buy 5 pieces that cost $60,000 a piece. All right, you better. Your negotiation skills better be well sharpened there. An organizer, a planner, a problem solver. A problem well stated is a problem half solved. When you go in to negotiate or talk to administrators, understand what the problem is. Well, we need this because, well, first of all, we have a problem in not having it, and here's what our problem is, and well defined. So we in our profession have to have these administrative skills. The same skills that your AD, senior associate ADs, associate and assistant ADs have to have. We have to have the same thing. Same things. And obviously I want people that are ambassadors. I want to be assured that if I hire you, if we bring you into our circle of trust, I want to be assured that you're going to be a great ambassador, not just for, our strength and conditioning area, but for the entire athletic department and the entire university. The entire university. And our profession. That goes back to what I said earlier. Are you contributing to the profession? There's a lot of ways to do it, people. Are you contributing to the profession? Are you getting outside of yourself and outside of your own personal situation and in some way contributing to the profession? Think about that. Think about it. Okay? Get out of yourself sometimes. Give back. Okay. A lot of the stuff previously, I've named my sources, I've borrowed from other people. This is mine. This is mine. Okay? If your only possessions, if all you ever had, okay, you can be walking down the street in raggedy clothes, okay, homeless, all right? If your only possessions were calloused hands, the analogy being you're a worker. You are a worker. Bloody knuckles, you're a fighter. You are a fighter, and you will go down fighting, and you'll keep getting back up. Nothing will. If I don't beat you physically, I'm going to beat you through attrition. You're going to get tired of fighting me. You will grow weary of fighting me and quit because you can't put me down. Bloody knuckles and a fire in your heart, a passion for what you do. Do you have a true passion for this profession, or are you just doing it? Look in the mirror and ask yourself, do I really love this? Do I love those early mornings, every morning, every day, every week, year-round? Do I really love this? Do I love those 12, 14, 16-hour days? Do I really love it? Well, I'm standing in front of you now and telling you that I love it. I love every single day. I look forward to it. And when I walk in there, I've been at Michigan State now going on 22 years. All right, here's my mentality. The only thing I'm entitled to is the privilege of busting my tail for these kids and this program, all right, and earning the privilege of wearing this logo. That's what I'm entitled to. Nothing else. Nothing else. If they come knocking on my door and say, Ken, it's been a nice ride, but your ass out. We've had enough of you. We're bringing somebody else in, so can you be out of here in 2 weeks? Yes, sir. Thank you very much. It was a great ride. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And I'll be out in one week. Okay? And I'll leave. All right? Do we all have that mentality? Do our kids have that mentality? We're going to talk about kids a little bit here. We'll talk about kids. Hey, Dave, you want to talk about kids? Coaching the millennial athlete. Now, I'm a baby boomer, okay? We got some baby boomers in here. I think the next generation, that's 80, post-World War II, right? I'm a 52 baby. Then there was Generation X, then there was Y, and now the millennials or IY or YI, whatever it was. Basically, this generation from early, mid-'80s to present. My daughter's a millennial. My son-in-law's a millennial. They're good millennials, though. They're really good ones. Heard so many, mostly negative stuff. I don't buy it. Here's another book for you. Now, this book applies to young adolescent men, young boys, adolescents. It's called Boys Adrift. Now, girls, women are mentioned in it, but this particular professor, Leonard Sachs, S-A-X, he's both a PhD and an MD, okay, wrote an excellent text called Boys Adrift on the amotivational syndrome affecting primarily young men and where it stems from. And he gets into the whole video game thing. He gets into the educational system. He talks about medications and much, much, much more. I don't necessarily agree with everything that he says or puts forth in it. And what do I know? I mean, this guy's an expert. He's a psychologist as well as being an MD. But I'll tell you what, I'm reading it, I'm going, yeah, I had a kid like that. Yeah, I got 6 kids like this right now. Yeah. And I'm going through and just, yeah. And maybe the reasons he's presenting could be what's going on. There is an amotivational syndrome, especially with young men. Okay, and to a degree, kind of an entitlement thing, but let's talk a little bit more about that too. I think it's important. I've read 2 full books on this. One is Generation Me, and I believe it's Twenji. Maybe, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing the name. And the other one is Millennials Go to College by Howe and Strauss. 2 completely different perspectives on the millennials. Source 1, the Generation Me book, has them being basically, when the smoke clears and you find out what is she really getting down to, and it's a woman author on this, entitled, selfish, lazy, narcissistic. Now, she says these are the kids. Now, why is this important? Because these are the kids that we're working with, okay? So she's saying this generation is all that, and it's all negative. And she brought out some, positive points, but not many. In the other book, a little more positive outlook. Confident, but sometimes overconfident, maybe, okay? Team-oriented. Wow. When I saw that, I said, really, they're team-oriented? According to Howe and Strauss, they do want to work together. They want to work together. Problem is, not too many of them are willing to take the lead on it, though, but they do want to work together. And maybe they're afraid of going alone, and that's why they want to work together. They have an achieving personality. They want to achieve. They don't really know quite how to do it, and that's where sometimes the entitlement comes in a little bit too. Like, well, when I graduate from college, I thought I was supposed to land immediately a minimum of a $65,000 per year salary, a company car, a phone, and an expense count. No, that's not quite the way it works. It's not the way it works. And you'd be surprised at the young people to think just because I have a degree, that's what I'm entitled to. But they are achieving, and they'll go out and they'll fight now, and they do feel pressured. They feel pressured to succeed. They feel pressured to succeed in this society because they look around them and everything's going 1,000,000 miles an hour. And they're saying, how do I get on one of these trains? I got to jump on one of these trains and get going. Okay. Can I make a suggestion? I kind of agree, and this is a personal perspective. I kind of agree with some points from Generation Me, not all of them, and some points from Millennials Go to College, not all of them. But I'm a baby boomer now, so my perspectives are a little different. Have any of you ever heard this? Let's all try this, people, and maybe we can go from there. Prepare the child for the path. Prepare the child for the path. That's what my grandpa did with me. That's what my mom did with me. They didn't go out, okay, and sickle down all the high grass and get all the obstacles out of the way and then go, okay, Ken, it's all clear. Come on down. No, you know what they told me? Get your ass out there and fight for yourself. That's what they told me. Okay? Prepare the child for the path as opposed to preparing the path for the child. I suggest you do that with your athletes. And we do. And I tell you what, that may be one of the most significant things that we do. We prepare these young people for the path. And I ain't just talking about the path of athletics, am I? You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the path of life. Okay? Earn the jersey. About 25 years ago, here's the genesis of that. We're going home for Thanksgiving vacation. We, meaning my wife, Mary Ann, and my daughter, Elena, who's a little peanut back then. She's back there sleeping in the car seat. I'm at the University of Toledo. Now, and you know, back then we played 11 games, and really, Thanksgiving, hey, go home, man. There's no price. You're done. You're done. Even if you made a bowl game, you're done. But so you go home for a few days. So I'm driving from Toledo to Steubenville, Ohio, about a 4-hour drive. Mary Ann's sleeping. Elena's, she's sleeping back there with a little nummy in her mouth. And I'm driving. It's bad. Snow's blowing sideways on the Ohio Turnpike. And I come behind this trailer truck. Okay, this tractor-trailer truck, right? 16-wheeler, right? And on the back of it is the United States Marine Corps insignia. The globe, the eagle, okay? Pass it up. On the side of that tractor-trailer truck, and I'm going to tell you what, it sent chills down my spine, was the Marine dress white cap. Okay, this is red, white, and blue, this whole thing. The Marine dress white cap and a saber. The Marine saber. And above the saber, 3 words that really just fired me up. And I'm still fired up about it. Earned, never given. Earned, never given. Now, if any of you work with any Marines, or any of you in the Marine Corps have been in the Marine Corps, never say former Marine, by the way. You'll get posted up on that. A Marine is a Marine forever. I found that out the hard way. Okay? Earned. Now, in respect to what they do, God bless them and God love the men and women of our armed forces and the Marine Corps, that takes on a very special meaning. A life and death meaning. Earned, never given. Okay? We have the Marine Manifesto. You need to get the Marine Manifesto, the United States Marine Corps Manifesto, put up in your weight room. If you get nothing else out of my talk, okay? And just look at it every day and read it. I'm not going to read it for you, okay? I got it pretty much memorized, but you need to see that. And I'm going to tell you what, it will fire you up. It will fire you up, okay? We had a young man I talked about him a couple years ago, Joe Tate. GA, he would be in the NFL now as a strength coach. He said, Coach, I'm going to officer training school, United States Marine Corps. That's what I want to do. I want to serve my country, okay? Second lieutenant to first lieutenant, 2 tours of duty in Afghanistan, brought all his guys back safe and sound. A hero. A hero. Well, let's go back there for 1 second. Let's go back there for 1 second. Build an identity. You each have to build your own identity there. I believe in standards. I've stopped using the term philosophies. I no longer have a philosophy. We have standards. Because standards, that's who you are every single day. A standard is who you are every single day. And again, how many guys have had the program in? Eric Kapitulik in the program. Judgment Day, right? We've had it in for several sports. And he and I, because of my love for the Marine Corps, obviously, him being a Marine, all right, and the things that he does and preaches, and we just ran. I mean, talking to him was like talking to a guy that I knew all my life. Just run parallel on so many things. And he talks about standards, okay? And it's not a standard unless it's upheld every single day. And if there aren't consequences, all right, for not staying true to the standards, then they are not standards. So what we tell our kids all the time, and what we tell everybody in our program at Michigan State, okay, we have standards. Be true to the standards. Because we believe in them, it's who we are. It's how we're cut. I know. Okay, demand accountability, foster verbal communication. I'm trying to communicate right now. Nurture decision making, encourage action on those decisions, and have strategies for managing the results. And understand the difference between sacrifice and investment. There's a difference. Real quick, had a psychologist tell me, don't use the word sacrifice with your team. They don't understand that. They can't figure out how to give something up to get something else. Well, you know what? Is that preparing them for life? Don't we have to sacrifice something sometimes to get somewhere else? And sometimes things that mean something to us. He says use investment because that's like, they're going to always, there's not a pot of gold at the end of every rainbow. Sometimes you can't find a damn rainbow. There's sacrifice involved. Okay. Be standard driven, be relevant, build relationships. Your standards and how you hold yourself to them are the greatest determining factors to how your life works out. Earn the jersey every single day. Continue to learn and grow. Stay hungry and humble. Expect the pain of commitment. Embrace the pain of commitment. Rest if you must, but never quit. Never, ever quit. You'll beat most people that are trying to pull you down and drag. You'll beat them with attrition because they will quit. Get on the extra mile. Build your house on the extra mile. If your house gets knocked down, build it back up. Just like the three little piggies, make it stronger next time. But stay on the extra mile and prepare for when you can negotiate. Okay? Martin Luther King, life's most persistent, urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so we must sharpen each other. Say the same thing. Spartan history. A Spartan's greatest strength is the warrior standing next to him. 3 different phrases, 3 different verses, 3 different eras mean the same thing. Okay? Put your name on it. Every day's a clean slate. And when times get tough, always realign yourself with your highest priorities. Come to center with yourself. You will work it out. I encourage you to stay strong, stay in the fight, keep making a positive impact on young people. Thank you very much. God bless you.